Hey, folks, it's me. It's money. And I'm here in a hotel lobby. I'm just about to walk into a ballroom full of people who are here to change their lives. And they don't know it yet, but money's going to come in and talk to them, and they're just telling them now. I can't wait, because these folks are on the move. They're doing whatever they can to change their lives and change their financial future as they seek freedom for themselves and their family. So, hey, I'm going to invite you inside with me. You come with me. I don't know how that audio is going to be in the picture. We'll see. But guess what? You're going to see it live and in person, how money can help people in their lives. Why would people give you money? Because they have some pain inside them that is greater than the value of the money they have. Listen to what I'm saying. They have some pain inside them that is greater than the value of the money they have. So if I have $100 in my pocket and I have a $120 pain and you can solve it for me, guess what? I'm happy to give you the $100. Why? It's a bargain. It's a bargain. So what you got to find is you got to find people in pain. You got to find companies in pain. You got to find people where the pain is so good that they'll even do what you're doing. You know? And see, then they'll command their money to go to you. They don't command their money to go to you for any other reason than the pain has gotten too great. And you have a solution that you've added value to. So I get asked, so I'm going to come back to that, okay? And if I don't get back to it tonight, Bill's going to talk about that tomorrow a lot, about how to increase value of a solution. But listen to this. Listen to this. This is something I know human beings are not being taught. I watched you. I've been to your schools. I've watched your politicians. You know, no one is teaching you this. Okay? Some people have figured it out and they're making a ton of money. Here's what you got to do. Everybody says, oh, I want to find somebody in pain and help them. Oh, I want to find somebody, you have a problem? Oh, let me solve the problem for you. No. Listen to this. Here's what we're taught. We're taught, let's be nice to people, right? Let's be nice. Let's solve their problem. Oh, find people with problems and solve. Have you heard that? Have people told you that? That's the key to success? Listen to what I'm going to tell you. Don't solve their problems right away. Stir the pain. You see? We're not taught that, are you? You're not taught that, are you? No, you're, you be nice. Oh, everyone will love you if you solve their problems and take care of you. Take care of them. No. You know what they'll do? They'll keep their money in their pockets. Or if they do give you money, they won't give you as much. See, the thing is, you want to stir the pain until it's so intense that what you're showing them is a lifeline. This works for whether or not you're selling products. This works whether or not you're representing a company's products. This works whether you're building a business of business builders. Okay? You want to stir the pain. Fight the urge to tell them, I can solve that. No, spend time commiserating with them of just about how painful their life is and how bad things are. People say, I've been buying clothes. I don't think they fit. And you say, yeah, they don't. Do you have a mirror, for God's sakes? Look at this. Now, we laugh at that, don't we? I mean, we laugh at that, but that's how that's how real money is made. Because here's the thing. People will spend money, a certain amount of money. But what you really want is you want their last dollar. Okay? Yeah. You don't want their first dollar. That was the easy one. Think about this. When you were a kid and you had 10 $1 bills. Now, I know none of you ever saw 10 $1 bills when you were a kid, because you had to walk through the snow with bare feet uphill both ways to school, I understand that. But so imagine a kid in your neighborhood who did have 10 $1 bills. All right? And if you had 10 $1 bills, do you really care what you spend the first one on? You'll spend it on almost anything, right? Yeah. Now the first 3 maybe. Oh, I've only got 7 left now. Now I'm getting a little choosy about what I spend my money on. It better be something pretty good. Now we spend the next 3, right? How many do we have left? 4. I just want to make sure you're paying attention. Okay. We have 4 left. We spend another one. Now we've got 3 left. Now, what happens when you're down to that last dollar? Do you treasure that last dollar? Is this the dollar you're going to put this down in front? You're going to fall on and you're going to keep it forever, right? Unless what? Unless something really good comes along. Well, how do you know if it's really good? Because it hurts so much not to have it. See, isn't that unbelievable? Isn't that the thought? See, here's the thing, folks. When you're out there, you are out there competing. You're competing. Now, I was telling the leadership that people don't compete anymore. Everyone's so special. We're afraid to tell people to compete. Compete. You heard about the 2 guys going down the trail, right, in the North Woods there, and they're hiking along. They got the headbands on and the hiking shoes, that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, there's a grizzly bear in the path up ahead of them. Grizzly bear's roaring, slashing in the air, gets down on all 4, starts running towards the 2 hikers. One hiker sits down, unlacing his boots and takes a pair of sneakers, running shoes, out of his backpack. And his friend says, what are you trying to do? You can't outrun a bear. He says, I don't have to outrun a bear. I have to outrun you. So we need to compete. We need to compete, and we need to compete for their last dollar. We need to compete for our customers' last dollar. But here's the thing. You know where the fortunes are made? The fortunes are not made in trying to get the person's first dollar. The fortunes are made in setting plans to get their last dollar. Because if you're so good you can get their last dollar, man, you got all the other 9 on the way to that last dollar. And even if you don't get their last dollar, the road to the last dollar, that's where the fortunes are made.
2 minutes left.
Thank you. So now you're roaring. You've got something here. Now listen, I want to tell you the next thing here. What do we call a person who has your money? What do we call a person who has your money? We call them a customer. You say, I wonder who my customers are. Well, they're the people with your money that you want. They're your customers. And you want to gather customers. And these customers could take many forms. We'll talk about this in a second, okay? I'm going to come back to this. But these customers, but listen, customers want you to succeed. Customers are happy that you're out there. Why? Remember, you've already stirred their pain. They met you, they were pretty happy. Now they're miserable. And they're staring at you thinking, can the pain stop? And you finally show them. You don't sell them, you show them how you stopped your pain. Say, listen, I know how you feel, and I felt the same way. Guess what I found? That's how you build your business builders. Listen, is everybody going to be your customer? No. You don't want everybody as your customer because some of them are not going to be good customers. You want to find the people who will let you take them to a pain level that is so great that they'll do even this to stop the pain. That's the person you want. If you're selling something, if you've got a product or service that you want people to buy from you, you don't want people who okay, I'll take it. No, you have to say, give it to me. Stop my pain. Stop my pain. That's what you want. So you have to get good at doing that. So now listen, customers want you to succeed. Because here's the thing. If you solve a problem for them one time with great value, are they going to want you to go out of business? No, they can't get this anywhere else. Yeah, they can't get your value to them anywhere else. You know why? Because when you take them to the brink of just not being able to stand the pain, all of a sudden you understand. He gets me. He really understands me. She really understands me. Look, she could see how bad I was feeling. She made you feel that bad, but that's okay. So now look, here's the thing, but here's what most people do. Here's what most human beings do. They try to solve their money problems by getting a job and having a boss. They try to solve their money problems by getting a job and having a boss. Now, here's the problem. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. By the way, Bill's going to tell you tomorrow about something I believe in, that iMoney believe in. It's called the financial freedom hybrid. The financial freedom hybrid. It's have a job, cover your bills, build a business. Yeah, it's that hybrid. Now, at some point, you have choices whether or not you want to continue doing your job or not, or just build a business. That's okay. But you got to get yourself saved to the point where you can build a business. All right. So people are excited. They're looking for it, and they're customers. But now you go get a boss, and you say, and here's Bill was telling me that he got asked 2 questions the most often. One is, how do I make more money? Okay. Talk about that. The other one was, how do I get people to pay me what I'm worth? Now, write this down. People say, how can I get paid what I'm worth? Guess what? You already are. People say, I wish I could really get paid what I'm worth. Well, you know what? You have been for quite some time. Why don't we start paying you less than what you're worth and see how that feels? Because we're not paying you more than what you're worth. Maybe it'll wake you up if we pay you less than what you're worth, let me give you a good example of how this can get crazy sometimes. I just saw in the news that in Washington State, I don't know if you saw this, there's a young man, he's in his 30s, I think. He owns a credit card processing company. He's got a bunch of, he made a lot of money, started when he was 19. He made a whole bunch of money, and he has 120 employees, and he read a study that said people are up to $70,000 a year in income, people are really unhappy. Over $70,000, more money doesn't make that happy. By the way, that study is flawed. But anyway, so he decided, here's what he did. He's on TV, people are saying, what a hero, they're singing his name. I mean, there's really songs now with his name in it. So and they're all excited because what he did was he raised everybody who was making less than $70,000 a year in his company. He raised them up to $70,000. $70,000. People are cheering. He had people making $30,000 a year who are now making $70,000 just with a stroke of a pen. I'm watching on the news. They're singing, oh, what a marvelous person this is, this and that. Isn't he wonderful? You know who's really unhappy in that company? Can somebody yell out, who's the person that's the most unhappy in that company? Right. The guy that was making $70,000 up till today. Because all of a sudden he's saying, oh, man, I'm working so hard, but listen, I'm working so hard, but this other person's only making $30,000, so it's worth me working harder. They're going home at 2 o'clock. I'm here till 9 o'clock, I'm here on the weekends. I'm working so hard. Why? I love this company. I love my job. Wait, you're only paying me $70,000, and you're paying them $70,000? I got to tell you something. I think he's going to have a lot of $70,000 employees quitting right now. And see, but the news media is all over this saying, oh, we're solving income disparity. Isn't this one? Why can't more CEOs learn this? But and here's another message that I didn't hear them saying. Why was this guy able to do this? Because he was rich. He had plenty of money. So guess what? It's his company. Was it his choice to do that? Does he have a perfect right to do that? Yeah. Absolutely. What, did he do it entirely for his employees, or did he do it because he wanted to feel good too? He did it because he wanted to feel good too. Is there anything wrong with that? No. You see, if you have enough money, you can feel pretty darn good all the time. Yeah. You can do things. You have choices. So let's talk about bosses for a second. You see, bosses get a bad rap because bosses are stuck. I mean, you're not the only one that works for them. They've got all these other people working for them. And even though, yes, you're special and you're a jewel, and we should admire you all the time, and if they paid you more money, it would make everyone else unhappy, including your boss, because now you're getting closer to your boss's salary. Bosses get a bad thing because they're trapped, because all your bosses have bosses, right? But here's the thing. I want to talk about the difference between customers and bosses. Now, bosses are customers. They're your customers because they have your money and they give it to you, that kind of stuff. But here's 4 things that good customers have, or it makes good customers different than your boss. Okay. Number one, your good customers don't care how much money you make. Excuse me. Whew, I love that. Your customers don't care how much money you make. Doesn't matter to them. Customers don't care if they're buying stuff from rich people or poor people. They'd rather buy from rich people. Why? Rich people will probably be doing it again tomorrow. Poor people might go broke. Your good customers, don't care how hard you work. So who would you rather have giving you money? People who don't care if you make a whole bunch of it and don't care how much you work? Or people who are very concerned about that? Your good customers don't care how much time you spend working. Think about this. If you finish your work let's suppose you're supposed to work till 5 o'clock, but you kind of feel like you're finished at 2. Does your boss say, yeah, well, go home? No, your boss says, here's more work. Because I got some bad people over here. They can't seem to get it done. You do theirs. See, your boss isn't paying you for solutions to a problem, is she or he? Your boss is paying you for your time. And they've contracted with you for a certain amount of time. You have to give it to them. Okay? And then finally, get this. Good customers don't care how many other good customers you have. See, good customers aren't trying to make a monopoly out of themselves, but your boss does. Now, you've put the boss in that position. You made the boss the monopoly. It's not the boss's fault. You know, you can't be angry at the boss. You can't think, oh, my boss doesn't understand me, doesn't pay me enough. You can't think about that. Because that's not what they were designed to do. You've got to, so here's the thing. Here's what you got to do, folks. You got to find some business that is so happy to have you, and then you got to find some customers who can't stop the pain without you. And you got to bring them together. You listen to me? You listen to me? You got to find a business that is happy and looking for someone just like you. The business you represent, were they looking for just people just like you? Yeah. Okay. Do your good customers, is there anybody else that can solve their problem and stop the pain better than you? If there was, guess what? They wouldn't be your customers. All right? Are there and you have a third group of customers, you have business builders, because you're in the business of building business builders. You're out there looking for people who are just like you. And then when you find them, you should be excited. But guess what? Some people aren't just like you, and they're not going to want to do this with you. It's okay. It's okay. Not every customer is going to buy. Thank you. Thank you. See, folks, we have to compete. We have to understand how money is made. Money changes hands. Money changes hands when somebody's pain is greater than the value of the money they're giving you. And you're the one they choose to give the money to if you have added value to their solution. By the way, as money, I love this. People say, it's really hard to live on a fixed income. Everybody with a job is living on a fixed income. Problem is, it becomes unfixed every now and then. How about these people that are making $70,000 a year? Guess what kind of income they have? They have a fixed income. It's $70,000 a year. That's not a bad fixed income, I guess, but it's fixed. So if you do more or you do better, it's still fixed. I listen to older people say, "Oh yeah, living on a fixed income is sure tough." You did it all your life. Yeah. It's no different. Maybe it's a little lower, but it's still fixed. So I'm about to give you permission to profit, which is something a lot of people don't think they have. Thank you so much. Look at this. Look at those words. Permission to profit. Would you like to have permission to profit? How about if money gives you permission to profit? How about if you learn to give yourselves permission to profit? How about if you give your other business builders you're working with permission to profit? How about if you give your customers permission to be your customers so that you can profit? You see, here's the thing. Whoever gives us permission to profit, we're always told what you can have. Right? That's what people tell you, isn't it? Isn't that what human beings tell each other? I'll give you, when they hire you, I'll give you this. And the minute you get that, you want more. Because you think there was some kind of mistake, even though it looked good right then. The next day you look at the people you're working with, you're thinking, I've got to be worth more than them. Look at them. You shake them, that kind of, what problem do people have who want to take vitamins? I'm sorry? The vitamin deficiency, deficiencies of some kind. They're tired, right? Those are problems, but are those stir the pain problems? No, they're not stir the pain problems. That's a feature of your product. Now let's talk deeper. What problems do people have who could use vitamins? What's that? They don't have the time to eat right. That could be one. What else? Let's go deeper. They don't have money. There's so many options. No, that's not the deep problem. Let's go deeper. What's that? They're dying. Yeah, that's deeper. That's 6 feet deeper. Say, well, I'm not 6 feet tall. Well, we're not going to stand you straight up, You see, that's the problem. Now let's take another problem they have. You're looking at people. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They're like this. Their tongues are hanging out. Drool is coming out the side of their mouths. They're trying to claw their way to the coffee machine. Oh, because caffeine's going to work. That'll save me. Let me load up on that. I'll be great next 20 minutes. All right. So now what about your children? You come home from work and you don't have the energy to spend time with your children. That's a deeper problem, right? See, we want to stir the pain. You see somebody that says something like that, you say, woo! When was the last time you saw those critters? Let's ask them about that. Well, what's that feel? That must be very difficult for you. You're working so hard, and you come home, and you see what I'm saying here? And you don't have time to spend time with your children? What's life about? That must really hurt. Tell me some more about your pain there. There's stir it for you. Here's a little stir stick, They're crying, they're weeping. See, now they want vitamins, right? But they don't want vitamins. They want a solution to a problem. And see, if you have taken vitamins now for a while, and all of a sudden, you're working all day long, then you come home and you're baking the chocolate chip cookies, and your kids are always dressed neat, and this kind of stuff. Guess what? You're an example. You're an example. And now, you don't have to say, "Look at me, I'm so great," but you can say, "Gosh, I had that same problem. Here, Junior, here's a cookie." I'm saying stir the pain, okay? But what you're going to do is you're going to add value to the solution. Because here's the thing. You have vitamins, okay? A lot of other people have vitamins. All right, so what is the unique value that you're adding to those vitamins? You're adding you. You're adding you. Now, let's take your business builders, okay? Let's take the other business builders that you're building a business with. Okay, what's the unique value you add for them? Well, you add training, all right? You add great product lines. You add a great example. You take them to meet other people. You see what I'm saying? This is unique value. Now all of a sudden, because they didn't join you in business because they just wanted more of me. They joined you in business because they want more of what me can do for them, which is give them choices, which is save their home, which is choices to grow their children a certain way. You know what I'm saying? This is the pain. This is the pain. And guess what? When you start doing that, guess what you end up on? The list. Now, you probably don't know this. You humans probably don't know this, but guess what? Every day I get a list. Money, I get a list every day. And there's names that, you know why I need to have this list? I need to know where I'm going this week. But, we want to know where we got to be this week. So we get a list of names, and there's lists on this name. And by the way, if you're going to read in the book, you're going to read about the day that Bill Quain got on the list. I'm looking at the names on this list. I'm looking at Pointer, McInerney. I'm looking at Klein. There's names on this list. There's names. Do you want to be on this list? Yeah. Well, what you got to do is you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision to forget about the crazy stuff you've been taught about making money. You've got to get in there in the trenches and wallow in the pain with people who are your customers. And you got to look at their pockets all the time and say, I know there's money in there, and if I can solve enough of your pain problems, you will give me that money because I'm going to add unique value to it that you can't get from anyone else but me. You see, what you want to do, folks, is you want to compete. You want to get on this list, and you want to stay on it. You want to stay on this list. Every day money gets this list. I'll tell you, I've seen some great names come on this list. I've seen some incredible names get off this list. The ink begins to fade. I see people say, I'm going to make the decision to get in this business. I'm going to make a decision to do something different in my life. I'm going to make the decision to stop listening to the politicians, the crazy politicians who are trying to do nothing but distract you from your personal mission by telling you things like, let's fight inflation. You fight inflation. You know, I'm going to find somebody in pain so that my pain stops too. See, that's the message you got to say to yourself. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that because everybody else is trying to get you involved in crazy causes. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but guess what? Get rich and then get involved in those causes. Okay? Because then you can have an impact on it. You want to help other people? Make some money and give it to them. Now, by the way, I think a better way to help the human race is not to get some money and give it to them. I think it's to inspire them to do what you do, but sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes there's a pain so great you just got to help people and give them some money. But you can't do that unless you have it. Otherwise, you're taking out of the mouths of your children to give them to somebody else's children. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Now, listen, I'm just money. You know, I have no axe to grind here. I'm just money. I'd love to see you on this list. And I'd love to see the ink get brighter and bolder every day. Matter of fact, later on, if you decide to buy a book, we're going to stamp your book. It's going to say, as money says, the stamp says, money says, you're on the list. Okay? You want to be on this list and you want to stay there. There's some great names on this list. Hey, let's take some questions. Joy, we got some questions there?
We do.
Okay.
Why do so many people settle for so little of you in a free enterprise system that anchors them in a life of mediocrity?
Why do so many people settle for so little of me in a free enterprise system and anchor themselves in mediocrity? Because we're taught to be average. You're taught to be average. I see these things. I see these things about, there's a big thing going on about the income gap. You heard about the income gap between the rich and the poor? Oh, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. They are not related. There's no relationship between the rich getting richer and the poor getting poor. No relationship whatsoever. You know what the income gap? The income gap is not between the rich and the poor. I want you to write this down because I want you to take this home to your heart. Listen to this. The income gap, the big income gap, isn't between the rich and the poor. It isn't what the rich make versus what the poor make. But the big income gap in this, a free enterprise system, the big income gap is between what ordinary men and women are making and what they could be making. That's the income gap. And it's the only one you can have an effect on and solve. How about another question there, John?
Should I save you or try to make more of
it? Should I save you or try to make more of it? Well, you should really do both, But the thing is, what you're trying to do when you save money is you're trying to save money so that you can use it. Either for your choice for things to do, okay? Because the more important thing is to learn how to create a lifetime of income. Because you don't want to go from one fixed income to another fixed income and try to live on it when you're older. You just don't want to do that. You don't want to be in a position where the next time a recession hits and you get laid off, that you're just out of luck. You want to have built a personal business. Hey, Joy, let's put that circle up there with the equities on it. Look at this, folks. Bill Quain's going to talk about this to you more tomorrow. This is so important. You need to build equity. You need to build equity. So when people, you say, I don't say save money. I say build equity. Use your money to build equity. Look at this, because that's how you keep money forever, because you keep it coming in. You want money to perpetually come in, and you want equity to do it. Do we have the equities up there? Okay, there are 6 equities. By the way, look at the top one up there, self-equity. The easiest equity to build costs you next to nothing. Do you know tonight you're making a big investment in your self-equity? The other big self-equity I'm going to talk, or Bill's going to talk about this tomorrow, is this. Be a good example. Do you know how cheap it is to be a good example? My gosh, and do you know what equity that is? But look at the other equities up there, and Bill will talk more about this. This is what you're doing with your money. You're building equity. Why? Equity works for you. Equity works when you don't want to work. You have equity. Equity's producing money for you. That's what you do with your money.
What's the best way to add more
What's the best way to add more value to others? Now, I like this question because it gives me a chance to say something. There is no way to add, the best way to add value to others. The best way to add value to anybody is to find out what they value. You just got to find out person by person, customer by customer, what they value. And it's different for everybody. See, that's the thing. We tend to think that there's these rules. Okay, if I do this, I'll add more value. No, you've got to go out and get to know the people who have your money. You must know them better than you know yourself. You know why? Because they don't care what you think. They only care what they think. Any customer that you have, you've got to know exactly what their problem is. You've got to stir the pain with them, and then you have to sell them a solution that's customized for them so that they can't get it anywhere else. That's how you add value. You add value that's personal to them. And the great thing about your business, and by the way, why do you think your company chose this model to distribute its products? Your company chose this model to distribute its products because of the individual value you add by knowing your customers intimately and personally. Big lesson. Big lesson on money. What's the next question there?
Analyzing and adapting to the trend, how do we keep ahead of inflation?
Analyzing and adapting to the trend. How do we keep ahead of inflation? You make a lot more money. And again, see, the politicians will try to get you involved in this, right? Oh, let's all fight inflation. Let's, vote for me, I'll fight inflation. Yeah, good. I'm not going to argue with you. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, I don't know. But don't care about that. And here's the thing. If you have a business where people are buying everyday residual things, does inflation matter that much? No. Okay, next question.
How do you pay your bills while you're making money with your business?
Okay, how do you pay your bills while you're making money with your business? This is the financial freedom hybrid. Okay, get yourself a secure income from a job, but don't make it your future. I mean, I'm not saying get rid of your job at some point. You could really enjoy what you do. That's fantastic. I'm saying don't depend on it. If you want to pay your bills, get a job right away. And then build a business. Build equity on the side. Do you like that term, financial freedom hybrid? Isn't that great? It works together.
It is.
Another one there, Joy?
What is the reason that knowledge about you is not readily available in the public schools?
What's the reason that knowledge about me is not readily available in the public schools? Well, listen, teachers are wonderful people. No one ever accused them of being rich. And they do a great job. And I know there must be teachers in this room. And it's okay. It's okay. But see, that's that hybrid thing. Work with what you got to work with. Listen, teachers teach subjects. Teachers teach math, and they're real good at math. College professors teach subjects. But you know what they don't teach? They don't teach how to make money. They just don't. The system is not set up for that. It's not. And that's why you're so fortunate to be here. You're here by the grace of God. Somehow, somebody along the way thought enough of you to say to you, are you in a lot of pain? Would you like to stop it? And they say, is it easy? You say, well, how much pain do you have? Is that easy? Let's talk about your pain.
Making money is no problem. Keeping money is a big problem. How do you hold on to money long term?
Well, that's a great thing because listen, here's the thing. If you make a lot of money, okay? If you make a lot of money, how'd you make it? You made it by getting people to give you their money. Well, guess what? Everybody else in the world is thinking the same thing. So what you got to keep asking yourself is, when I make a choice to spend money, on something, what is it doing for me? Is it an equity? Do I have so much money that I could afford that, if you want to spend some money on something that's a big risk, and by the way, Bill Quain is going to talk about risk and reward tomorrow, and one of the things he's going to talk about, and if he doesn't do it, make sure when he gets to the risk and reward chapter, make sure he does this, because he's going to show you why your friends and family are being put at risk by you deciding to do this kind of business. Okay, it's an amazing thing. It'll change the way you look at them and how you handle them. All right, but so you got to look at everything. Because here's the thing: if your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep will be your downfall. So if you want to spend money on something, make sure it's not going to be a recurring thing unless it adds equity. You want to spend money on something one time. This is money's thought. I mean, you do whatever you want. If you have enough, it doesn't matter. But what you want, if you're going to get involved in something where it's going to cost you money month after month after month, you better make sure it's generating more money than that. And that's the balance you got to do. One-time things, you can afford it, bam, buy it. If it's what you wanted, if it was your dream to have a nice car, and a nice car costs $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and that's what you want, and you have the money for it, it's a one-time expenditure, you're not worried about it draining you forever, buy it. You know what? If you buy that car, guess what? Somebody else may want one too. And it may just be the little spark that ignites them. Because it might be their dream too. Okay?
Is sitting on large amounts of cash smart?
Is sitting on large amounts of cash smart? It's smarter than sitting on large fires. But but I don't know how much smarter than that. Here's the thing. Cash loses value. Cash can lose value. You know what doesn't lose value? A business that is building itself. That doesn't lose value. So rather than sitting on large amounts of cash, what money says is put your money to work for you. Here's the thing. Most people work for money. The funny thing is money should be working for you.
Last question, little over 8 minutes left. Money, how do I keep more of you in my pockets instead of handing it over to the government?
Oh, money, how do I keep more of you in my pockets instead of handing it over to the government? Well, here's the thing. It depends on what country you live in. Okay? Some countries, there's nothing you can do about it. They're taking it from you. Here in the United States, you guys are lucky. The tax laws in the United States, they're not perfect. But they are designed to favor one class of individuals. What class of individuals are the tax laws designed completely in the favor of? Business owners. So if you want to keep more money in your pocket, stop working for somebody else and start working more for yourself. That will keep money in your pockets. Now listen, this is not a tax seminar. Money wants to make a disclaimer because, well, it doesn't matter if you sue me because I have plenty more money where I came from. But anyway. This is not a tax seminar, but listen, let's face it. The entire United States foundation of its tax code favors people who are business owners. All right? Learn how to use that. Plan your activities based upon what the thing that's going to bring you the most advantageous position. Earned income in the United States is taxed much higher, okay, than business income. All right? Capital gains are taxed lower than earned income. So when you go to a job and they pay you, you're paying higher taxes on that than if you had a business of your own. Now, here's the other thing too. If you have a business of your own, you get to write off stuff. And you can't be afraid. Yes, you might get harassed. Yeah, they won't kick in your doors, but they'll make you feel uncomfortable. I'm talking about a certain three-letter government agency here. But guess what? You know your rights. Know your rights. Spend some time. And this brings up a point that I want to make. Most human beings spend their entire lives putting their financial futures into the hands of somebody else. Okay? You go and you get a job and you put your financial future in the hands of your boss. You make some money and you want to do some investments. And listen, money's not against investing money. Okay? I think that's fine. All right? But look who, most people don't have any idea what their brokers are doing with their money. They give it to them and hope. All right? Whereas if you're involved in your own personal business, if you're in the trenches every day, if you're looking customers in the eyes, if you're looking other business builders who are in pain and crying together over the victories and the defeats, the setbacks and the excitement, if you're doing that, guess what? If you're working with a company that will pay you every time you distribute something for them and move it to somebody who really needed it and has chosen you and was looking for someone just like you, nobody else, they wanted you. And they'd be so sad if you stopped doing what you're doing because you're so good at what you're doing, and they like making money too. So they love you. And they're saying to you, hey, listen, you're so good. Go find some more of you. You know, if you're in there every day where you know what your money is doing, where you know what I'm doing for you, where you know how to get me to jump out of one person's pocket into your pocket, if you're there, are you acting different than somebody who's on a job? Are you acting different than somebody who has a broker? And don't you love that name, by the way? So, you know, do you have your hands on the pulse of your money-making abilities if you're doing that? You do. And guess what? Your tax laws in this country are set up solely to favor you. Everything is in your favor. The only thing that's not in your favor is that you haven't been taught how to do this. You haven't grown up in an atmosphere, in an environment where people are told, hey, go out there and find somebody with a problem and make them feel worse. And then make them feel better with a unique solution that you mold, that you own, that you belong to, that you live with day by day. You see, folks, that's the struggle. And not only is it a struggle, it's a great joy. It's a great journey. It's a wonderful way to spend a life. And it's so much better than to sit there thinking, I wonder how I can get this person to pay me more. That's not much of a life, because you know what? They're already paying you what you're worth. I want to make one comment here, about this new thing that's going on about the minimum wage. People say, "Oh, the minimum wage. We got to raise the minimum wage." They're talking about raising the minimum wage to $15. And again, let's go back to that person who struggled. The minimum wage and federal minimum wage right now is $7.25 in this country, $7.25 an hour. Terrible. People say, "Oh, how? It's so wrong." Listen to what they say. It's so wrong that someone works 40 hours a week and they can't support their family. I feel bad about that. But paying them more per hour isn't going to help them or us. All right? It's not going to change the way. If you're getting paid $7.25 an hour, you know why? It's because that's what you're worth. That's what you're worth. Not what you as a person is worth. It's what your work is worth. It's worth $7.25 an hour. How do we know that your work is worth $7.25 an hour? Because that's what you're getting paid for. And everyone gets paid what their work is worth. And here's the reason. The people who do work at $7.25 an hour, they're not bad people. I'm not saying that at all. They're not bad people, but you know what? Anybody can do that job. Anybody can do that job. How do we know? Because it's the minimum you're going to get paid for something. So can a brain surgeon do that? Yeah. Can somebody see? And here's the thing: if you're who are you competing against at that level? Everybody else. Now, what happens if you take that job and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to stay here at $7.25. I'm going to figure out how to be worth more. And so you start coming to work on time. Huh?
2-minute warning.
You start coming in the right uniform. You start helping with the scheduling. You learn the various jobs. You move up. Guess what? Now you're worth more. And now, let's suppose you work your way up to $15 an hour. You've been driving yourself crazy, everybody else crazy. I'm going to learn this job. Why are you learning this? They only pay us this much money. Why should we work harder? Because I don't want to make this much money. And now you work your way up to $15 an hour, and guess what? Bingo, bango, bongo, so does everybody else. How do you feel? That's pretty discouraging, isn't it? And then what happens to the poor guy or woman who owns that business? And they're out of business. And now nobody's making money. Or maybe they have to raise their prices, which is like a tax, by the way. So they raise their prices, which is like a tax. Now guess what? Who is disproportionately hurt by that tax? the people making $7.25 or $15 an hour. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense, but this is what they tell us. This is what they tell us. Now, money has no problem with, if you want to give people money, if you're saying, listen, you're working 40 hours a week and you don't have enough money to live on, okay, we'll give you money, but don't make the poor person who owns the business do it. Don't destroy the incentive of the other people who try to make a better life for themselves by working harder. Don't destroy their incentive to do that. Okay? Stop listening to the crazy people who are floating these nutso ideas and are distracting you from the one thing that you need to do. And the one thing you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is you need to make sure you're at every one of these meetings so you get fed so you can feed the rest of the world. That's what you need to do. Because it's the only place in these United States where you're going to hear the messages you're going to hear this weekend. Bill will be here tomorrow. It was my pleasure to spend some time with you tonight. By the way, after the meeting is over, at the end of the night, I'll be back over there and I'll be stamping Money Talks books with Money Says, you're on the list. See ya.